Well, ladies, I'm glad you made it. I want to address the students today. I wanted to know how your day went for the first time. First, good? How did Manuel do a good job? Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you had a chance to, get the basic fundamentals of what DJing is about. I don't know how many of you own a CD player or a turntable. By raise of hands, can you tell me? Okay, so this is a good experience for some of you. Today's part of the workshop, it's called DJ Experiences, and it looks like we have some great stories I'm sure we're going to get from these young ladies here. Florence and Tereza, right? Okay. And a little bit about me. I've been DJing for about nearly 40 years. Sounds like a dinosaur, doesn't it? And producing for about 8. And I was also a professional dancer on Soul Train, which is iconic dance television show specialized mostly in the, disco, funk, and soul, with a lot of the music that you're hearing, timeless music that you're hearing is also being introduced on this show. I also have a podcast called Decisive Podcast Series, which is it's about DJ culture. And also I really love kind of exploring various artists and, kind of getting into what they do, getting into the minds of what they do and how they think and how they, it's really, really interesting when you really open your mind and you just kind of try to find people that are breaking boundaries and breaking the rules. It's really nice. It's kind of, inspirational. Today's guests, okay. Yeah, you may have not heard of them, may have heard of them. How many of you heard of Florence? Where do you know her from? High Top was one.
That was a nice one. We just talked about it. One of our favorite parties this summer.
Clearly, they have a vibrant presence in the DJ scene and on a global level. Radio, DJ, and also even working for record labels. So they have a lot of experience to share with us today. Today's about DJ's experience, I guess, DJ scene and culture. It's about women's successes in the music business. And our topics during today's panel discussion, we're going to obtain a lot of information from these young ladies that, I guess their experience, right? You've been doing your thing for about 20 years, Florence?
20 plus now, yeah.
Wow.
I started young, but I'm not that young anymore. Go figure.
And you, Tereza?
Maybe more about 10 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, we got half. That's good. That's kind of good. You both clearly love to work as a DJ. Does passion and love keep you driven and locked into the music world? Is music a major catalyst for you, Florence?
Most definitely, yeah. Music was my first love, and we're still doing it.
Yeah, I heard. I read that some of your first experience was digging through your father's records in the 80s. Can you tell us about that?
Not exactly digging, because he wouldn't let me touch those records. I gotta share some pictures of myself sitting in the vinyl room, but like he won't let me touch them. It took a while before now he's like, you should go and look for this, that, and go dig for some jazz. But yeah, it was still inspirational. And my dad was a DJ when I was a child, so.
How old were you then when you were trying to at least explore your father's records?
6, 7.
6.
Yeah.
So music is a part of your family's heritage. I mean, as you were growing up, music was being played for you on the radio.
Yes.
And your father had turntable. What turntables they had? Did you remember? Ooh. It must have been a Newmark or something.
No. It was, I think he had a Technics, but an old one, and Torrance.
Torrance, okay. Never. Marcus, you've heard of Torrance before? I never.
I don't know. He wasn't doing a lot of turntablism or mix and tricks. He was just more like old school announcing, kind of like what Kenny does, but a little different genres.
Yeah.
He wasn't exactly playing techno, but yeah.
And what was your first experience?
I think I'm always jealous when I hear stories like this. Like my heritage is like completely different. Like there was always music, but it was just like radio stuff, and neither my mother nor my father were like music nerds. I mean, they enjoyed music, but just as a they weren't appreciating music like maybe I do, right? So I didn't grow up surrounded by rare jazz vinyls or rare soul vinyls, whatever. I was my mother used to listen to country music and to Wolfgang Petri and stuff like that. So it was I was very far away from like a vinyl digging scene, and I think I also didn't get into DJing because I thought my taste in music was that great. I think what got me into DJing was more this curiosity for the technique. Like, how does a mixer work? How does a turntable work? How do you blend two songs together that it sounds good? So I think I always appreciated music and I loved music. I was singing in a choir and stuff like that. But I think my real passion for music was after I started DJing, and yeah, I think I'm actually still in the process. I started with hip hop and was listening to only hip hop stuff, and a couple of years ago I got into like more house music, and I'm still discovering stuff, still trying to find me in the music.
When you is that also the case? Where did you start it? Was it hip hop?
Yeah.
R&B?
It was hip hop, R&B, and some dancehall in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the first record. The first record that I bought was Camp Low, Lucchini. This is it. What?
Houdini.
Lucchini.
Oh, Lucchini.
Falling from the Sky. With a famous Earth, Wind and Fire sample in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for me, I started playing hip hop, listening also to only hip hop. For me, house music was
super boring,
and the people that went out to house music in Vienna, I was like, I can't associate with that crowd. I didn't know nothing about the history of house, growing up. My father was not into that. Obviously, there was some electronic music. There was this Eines and stuff that was on the radio. But I found out a lot later about the history of house and techno. And I was like, okay, now, all that kind of goes together. Mm-hmm. But
and why hip hop? There must have been one record or one artist that influenced you to, or was hip hop just the thing? Or
like for me personally, I grew up in Chemnitz, and back then there was this. They call it like the European's biggest hip hop festival. I don't know if that's true, but it's called Splash Festival, and they used to do their festivals there. I mean, I was too young to go to the festival when it was still in Chemnitz, but I remember that like all the cool guys from where I grew up would go there. So I kind of had a fascination for what kind of music is playing there, and I think through this like German hip hop stuff, I got curious about other hip hop stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were there any influential hip hop DJs that you were inspired by?
Absolutely. So as a teenager, my musical taste was influenced by my sister. I have a sister 4 years older than me, and she would give me cassettes of Queen Latifah and MC Lyte, KRS-One, Rakim, so the good stuff. And I listened to the radio a lot, Radio FM4 in Vienna, and the hip-hop guru from Vienna is called DJ DSL. Went to Hamburg.
FM4 is fantastic.
So DJ DSL, DJ Herbs, honorable mention, DJ Catex, and so on. Yeah, I had a good introduction to hip hop through the radio mostly.
And you most also radio,
Tribe
huh?
vibes.
I mean,
not really.
You had to discover hip hop, huh? You had to actually discover it, go out and dive in, huh?
Yeah, like there was no radio station I remember that I would listening to. It was I don't actually know. Maybe like we were sharing CDs in school. I don't actually remember. I mean, there was a pretty famous hip hop DJ crew in my town, which is still called Flatline DJs. They were also part of the founding people of the Splash Festival. I mean, they were pretty cool because like when I went to clubs, then you would see them with like tons of vinyl in the behind the decks, and that was something fascinating for me, and I think that was part of why I started, or why I wonder how this stuff works, you know. But also when they played in clubs, it was more of commercial hip hop. Like it was nothing super cool and niche. I think I got more from like a commercial. I came more from like a commercial background into what I do now, and dug deeper, so to say, over the years.
During the learning process of becoming a DJ, can you both possibly tell us some of the struggles that you had to overcome to get to the point where you had some confidence in yourself? I mean, you can't just grab two records and start mixing and just get it going. I mean, you have to.
Certainly not. So for me, I mean, you can, but
if you got it like that, yes.
Yeah, that was a mystery to me for the longest, and I was too shy and maybe also too proud to ask. So there were people who really wanted to take me under their wings, or who wanted to show me, but I would always be. Sorry, I'm thinking in German, ungeduldig, impatient. I would get impatient quickly, and I would say, no, just, I would be in someone's studio, and they, let me practice on their turntables. With it. You leave, I want to do it. I don't want you to listen to my mess ups, but...
You weren't teachable at this time.
No, not at all. But, I had to figure it out. So, yeah, I also started on vinyl, obviously. I had to figure it out, and I'm still figuring it out. Yeah. I'm still figuring out the CDJs. They just look like a spaceship at this point. So, yeah, I have pioneer DJ training in 2 weeks.
I think my way was, again, completely different because a friend of mine, in Chemnitz, there's a music school, and it's pretty rare, but one really old DJs was also giving a workshop in this music school. So a friend of mine wanted to become a DJ, and he subscribed. He attended the workshop, and you had to pay 1 year upfront. And after 2 or 3 months, he realized, maybe that's not something I want to do. And then we both don't know why, but he asked me if I would like to take over this course. So that's the whole story, how I got into DJing. And then I took the course, and I loved it. I continued, and I think it took me 2 years or something of practicing in the course, but also in my bedroom to then...
The course was 2 years.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I took it for 2 years. There was the first year was mixing basics with vinyl. The second course was scratching techniques and beat juggling, and I did all of that. Was obsessed with that. And I think it took me 2 years until I had a first kind of gig. It was a background music, not fancy thing, and I was super nervous, and I prepared everything. I wrote lists and stuff. So I think it's not something you can compare to what DJs nowadays can do. I mean, probably you guys are ready to go.
You had to start from scratch, total scratch, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I never thought of of me becoming a DJ. I never thought that somebody could book me ever. I didn't think of DJing as a career opportunity. So so there was I had no stress about it. You know, I was really. Yeah, it was fun for me to practice in my living room, and so I never thought of, okay, I have to find like playing opportunities or something like that. So it kind of grew really natural from there, with doing like warm-up gigs for other DJs, like first background music, then maybe more bar gigs, then warm-up gigs for other DJs, then maybe sharing primetime slots with other DJs. So then doing all-nighters. So like I think sometimes when I look back, I think, oh, it took me so long, but on the other hand, I also think maybe that's also like a strength that I have, that I did everything. Like I think I know how to read a crowd and stuff like that. So I think all the experiences I got during also like horrible gigs, like in big room clubs, like horrible, really horrible. I learned something from that. Yeah.
And that was what I was going to get to. I mean, to have the confidence, first to have the confidence to get to where you were. Finding your sound, reading the dance floor, paying for music, then actually getting the gig. What was your first experience, and when did you feel like, yeah, I'm confident, I got this, I got the DJ skills to rock a club?
Not till recently, actually, to be honest, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Step by step, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So my first gig was also a bar gig in Vienna. I just used to go out a lot. So my motivation to start DJing was not like, oh, my dad's a DJ and I want to DJ as well, or I want to get booked at the festival XYZ. It was really because I went out and I would always be the request girl, right? I would ask the DJ to play this song or that song. And it's a total no-go, actually, unless you're at a...
It is a go if you want to know.
Hour. You know, so at some point I got tired of always asking for what I want to see. I was like, actually, you know what? I know so many people, and I want to make my own mixtapes, my own cassettes. So that's what I started doing. And I started just buying records, first of all. The motivation was not, I need to be booked at this club, but I would hang around a lot of musicians and DJs, and eventually they said, well, don't you want to play? So I was given a chance before I actually really felt like I'm, you know, this great DJ. I know exactly what I'm doing. I really stumbled. I don't want to say stumbled, but I was given opportunities at an early age, and those gigs were probably not the most technically skilled performances, yeah. But I always believed in my selection. I absolutely 100% believe in my taste in music. I have great taste in music. Obviously, everybody will not agree, but I play from the heart. I want to share this good music. The technical side, like I said, I'm still figuring it out. You know, have better and not so good nights, but I think I'm at a pretty decent level at this point.
But that's great that you have the confidence of knowing that you're good at selecting, right? And I
just love music.
Yeah.
So when there's something that I really love, I just want to share it. I want to listen to it over and over, and I want to listen to it on a good sound system, and I want other people sharing that experience.
That brings back a memory to me in LA. We had a DJ that he was getting booked. He wasn't getting booked for his DJ skills. He was getting booked for his program. Mm-hmm. And it didn't matter if the song ended. The next song, the dance floor was full again. And it was really amazing how that it wasn't this beat matching thing. It was his program, and his program is absolutely incredible. Yeah. And you feel confident. So you feel like this is a strength of yours.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah.
For a fact. Yeah. I'm very confident in my taste of music.
And yeah, but when was the moment that you knew? I'm trying to get to that point. When did you know that, you know, I mean, you have got booked for opening up for Norma Jean Bell, and
oh yeah.
And you also have radio shows, so there must be at some point you just going like, someone that has told you yes you can do this, or you just felt like, you know, this is my time, and I'm gonna go ahead and. I mean, you have a lot of people believing in you.
Absolutely, yeah. I've always had very supportive people around me, behind me. My first real quote-unquote gig in Vienna was in 2001 at this place called Meierei. It no longer exists. It's now a posh restaurant, but the monthly G-Stone sessions were held there at the time, and so I was friends with some people in that crew, basically, in that label crew. And it was the release party of Stereotype. I don't know if you have heard of Stereotype. 12-inch called Jaman with Stereotype. So it's like stereotype but in German. And so he put out his 12-inch and subsequently an album on G-Stone Recordings, and I was asked to play the opening for that. I don't know how they saw me somewhere. I was playing the side bar at another event where I think Richard Dorfmeister was playing, and I think they checked me out that night. And at the time, my DJ name, I have had a lot of aliases and AKs.
Flo Real, and what's else?
Do you?
The night.
Yes.
The night nurse.
Exactly. I just recently put that back in my bio because my DJ name at the time was the Night Nurse because.
I love that name, the Night Nurse. That's cool.
So that's basically taken from the Gregory Isaacs song, 81 song Night Nurse, and that my father used to play. And the idea behind it was that music is like medicine, and if I, give it to you at night, then I'm kind of like the night nurse, you know what I mean? So, awesome. I learned later on that Kruder and Dorfmeister had done an edit of Night Nurse on Island Records.
How many of you know Kruder and Dorfmeister from Vienna? Yeah, big time,
that was cool.
Right?
Yeah. So I think they checked me out that night. I wasn't aware, but yeah, I was given that opportunity, and people believed in me, even though my technical skills were probably not up there with other people that they could have asked. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it was a thing of, we just want to put a girl there that looks cute. They actually really also believed in my ability. And so, yeah, I'm very grateful to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. A lot of people deserve honorable mentions for me, for my career.
I want to know when you felt that confidence. And I mean, you had a show on Worldwide FM, and to get chosen to be a part of such a platform, you work with so many great, talented people there. How was that experience? How did that boost your confidence?
Tough questions, because if I'm completely honest, I still especially for example today, it's my first time at Charlie, so I'm 10 out of 10 nervous. So I think I never think about if I'm confident enough. I just Good. Maybe do it and try stuff, and I think what's the biggest thing in me is I'm super curious for a lot of things, and I love to try stuff out, and maybe what gives me confidence, and maybe that's also something completely different to Flo, I need to have the security of being technically on point, and maybe that's also something which has been taught to me, especially as a female DJ. I think back in the days, or what does back in the days mean? But when I started, I felt like there weren't many female DJs, and I feel like I was being judged a lot if my technical skills were on point. So I think I have this thing where I have to be technically 100% on point to feel confident to be able to do it, So I think confidence comes for me through a technical aspect.
Experience,
yeah, and
good days, bad days, ups and downs, yeah.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
But being I'm always sure, or I think through the experience, and also because I practiced a lot, like at the beginning of my career. I think I got to a point where I know it doesn't matter if I have a good day or a bad day. It's gonna be like stable, you know. Like sometimes I'm better than it's even better, but I know that I have like I'm good. Like it doesn't matter if I have a good day or a bad day. So I think it's different to Flo. It's actually so funny to hear you talking about all these things, because normally I don't know how it's with you, but I don't have these in-depth conversations with other, especially female DJs, and to hear a story that is so. I mean, we play kind of. I think we have a similar taste in music, but how we got there is so different, and it's really inspiring and really interesting to hear you talking about your story. So yeah.
How's the scene for you in Vienna now? I mean, before post-COVID, did you have a vibrant scene there? Were you playing more often?
I think I'm the wrong person to ask at this point, because I rarely go out in Vienna. Yeah. I used to go out a lot as a teenager and a young adult, but I am traveling a lot. So the last couple of months, the most weekends I wasn't in town. And when I am in town, oftentimes I prefer my couch over the club at this point, I'm going to be honest. There were a couple of really great club nights back in the days. At this point, I'm not the right person to ask. There's still stuff going on, but there's some things are missing for me. So I am part of a collective called a party called Jack. I should mention that.
Please.
We don't have a regular thing yet. We have not found our venue yet where we are, where we can be and grow. But we've been growing since 2018, 2019, and it's beautiful to be a part of that. We bring out a lot of dancers. I think you would love it. So that's usually where you can find me. If I go out in Vienna, it's usually it's going to be a party called Jack.
Do you find yourself going out a lot to experience other DJs, or get, just kind of get the club vibe, or?
Not as much as I used to, because as well I'm traveling quite a lot and also playing quite a lot. But I try as often as I can to go out and to listen to other DJs, to get out of my music bubble. I find it a bit hard in Berlin, because it's very techno heavy, which is just not so much for me. But here and there, you can find stuff you like.
I must say that I really have mad respect for you. I was watching, I think it was her, and I was watching you on a couple of other videos, and it's funny because I'm a dancer, and I'm from the floor first to the DJ booth and into the studio. So for me to see you dance to the songs and still, you're still focused and you're still in there, but and your selection from a slower tempo to the higher tempos and how they connect, there it's quite eclectic but still groovy somehow. How did you find your unique style?
I think like all the things we mentioned, or I mentioned, are part of this. Like starting out, I think hip hop is a good starting point, or was a good starting point for discovering other genres as well. So of course, like samples, soul, funk, but then again, disco, house, and I think as long as it's kind of uplifting, groovy, soulful, it doesn't matter for me if it's jungle, UK garage, house, disco. I'm all in for it, and I think that's something I also struggled a lot, because especially in Berlin, you get booked for like a 2-hour slot, and then many people expect from you that you do like I don't know, 2 hours of house or whatever. So I actually cherished the experience to be in Detroit this year. I had like a scholarship or an exchange program, and I was able to go to Detroit for 2.5 months. So it boosted my confidence in what I do, playing eclectic sets even more, because people are doing it over there since forever, I guess. And so yeah, I think I returned with a lot more self-confidence than I had when I went there. So yeah,
that's a load of confidence, because to go from these different levels of music, I mean, for me, any beat music for me is from hip hop.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's jungle or bass music or whatever you want to call it, but that's kind of nice. Your style seems to be a little bit more soul, a little bit more classic, shall I say? And if I'm wrong, you can correct me. But I was listening back to also some stuff that you were doing. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you spent a lot of time working for the label Detroit with Kenny Dixon Jr. Is this any influence on your sound as well? Is this any influence on your sound?
You mean the Detroit connection?
Yeah.
Of course, yes. I mean,
how so?
How so? Well, we share music with each other, and we have similar tastes as well. It's interesting when Kenny pulls out a 12-inch from like 20 years ago. It's like, I got that too, you know? It's not the most unlikely thing, but what I really enjoy, and when I first heard Kenny play, I wasn't a big Moody Man fan at the time. I kind of also found him by accident, but I heard him play, and I really loved the fact that he would play everything, like every genre, and he would talk in between, and you know, just engage the crowd in that way. Everybody, it's not for everybody, you know. Some people like, come on now, you know, get on with it. We want some, you know, but yeah, that's not what you're gonna get from him, and sometimes that's what you're gonna get from me, but it depends. I'm
Does it also spin on the time, the length of time you have to introduce?
Yeah, of course, yes. Yeah. If you're booked for all-nighter, or you can probably expand more. But yeah, I don't like to put myself in a box or say I'm just a house DJ or a hip hop DJ. It's rare these days that I would play hip hop in the club. I should probably do that more. It always depends on.
So you got that. So you got the house bug now, huh?
Well, it's just the environments that I'm booked in are, you know, maybe not as open to. But maybe I should just pull a Kenny Dixon and just say fuck it, you know, like you're gonna get what you're gonna get. I'm playing some Dilla right now. Hate it or love it.
I am trying to get these experiences that you guys have a DJ from different angle. I love the broadcasting, I love the radio, I love the club vibe, but this is all DJ experience, right? And whether or not you start in your bedroom, you end up playing for a wedding, or you know, or for bar mitzvah or whatever. But these two ladies have, as far as I'm concerned, you playing on the radio show, programming your own radio show on Worldwide FM. To me, it's a good thing, huh? Isn't it a good thing? I mean, you get a chance to work with some different people. You have them on your show. You get to program the show. I wanted to know, this experience, did you have a chance to, were there any restrictions on the music programming?
So before Worldwide FM, I had a radio show on another German public service broadcaster called Cosmo, which is part of WDR. And it was a bit more restricted on there because it was a 7 to 8 like early evening show, and of course, like public broadcasters are a bit more concerned about the music you play on there. But with Worldwide FM, it was completely open, and they let me do whatever I wanted to do. And I'm very sad that they closed down in October. But it was a great experience, and I'm sure there will be new stuff waiting for me. I mean, I never. That's also one thing. I never thought I would be a radio host. You know, I somehow got there, and it always sounds so weird. But something is guiding me to these things, and I think I'm open and curious enough to take on these challenges, because of course I was a shit radio host at the beginning, and I might not be the best radio host now, but I learned. And
but your fierceness, you're willing to tackle things, make it better each time.
Maybe, I don't know, yeah.
I mean, when I was wondering, it must have been heartbreaking for them to close, and you were working with. I noticed that you were working with a lot of cool names, cool people that in the industry. Can you name off a short list of some of the people that you had experienced great times with on the show?
It's very different people from like. This smaller jazz band from Germany called Priorität, which was really amazing to work with them, to maybe, I don't know, other big...
Bradley
Zero, Kamal Williams contributed to my last radio show. That's great, yeah.
You also had some experience with Superfly. Was it Superfly 98.3 or something?
98.3.
Yeah. Oh, you got the radio voice and everything. How did you get this job?
How did I get the job? Good question. I hosted an event before that, about a year and a half or so before I was casted for Superfly, and I just knew the people who own Superfly or still own Superfly also owned that club where I had my debut. So I've known them forever, and they thought I had a good voice, and I had great taste in music. Well, I'm gonna say this: I hosted a daytime show called Superfly Lounge. And
Cosmic Fly Lounge.
Superfly Lounge.
Okay.
So it was like the 10 to 2 p.m., 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. slot, and playlists were given to me. All great music. So Superfly is a black music station. The music was great, but the playlist was given to me, and then I had 3 segments to record. It was not a live show. It had 3 segments to record in between those blocks of music. And I would do that. I would also obviously research the tracks or say a little something about them. It was only a few seconds. And, I would give it my own little twist. And at some point, the playlist would repeat themselves. I would be given the same playlist that I saw 2 days ago. And at the time, I was also still working at the airport, so I would come to the studio sometimes late night after a 12-hour shift to record the show for the next day. I was like, you could just put the same show on that I recorded 3 days ago. So eventually, I would start putting in extra hours and changing up the playlist. That was not agreed on, but I just did it anyways. So I basically started programming the show without being asked to do so. At some point, they told me, we just want you for your voice, basically, and you should mess with the playlist. I was like, well, then maybe give me some fresh,
music.
It doesn't have to be new. Just like, don't repeat yourself over and over and think I don't notice. But yeah, that was great. Anyways, I got familiar with Logic. I used to record in Logic, and also a good friend of mine had her own show Thursday night after midnight. Her name is Georgia. She still works for the radio for FM4 now, actually. And sometimes I would co-host the show with her, and she was playing more so electronic music and also hip-hop, whatever she wanted. So sometimes I would join her, and we just host a show together. I should put some of those online. I'm in the process of going through my archive and putting stuff up online for people to hear.
That was kind of the same thing with you with your programming and stuff? Did you have to put all the music together, or yours is basically mixtape since you're the technique first? Your programming is a bit different, not using Logic.
I think I used not Logic. or whatever.
Cubase.
I used Cubase to record my first mixes. But no, like the radio shows I had was all about like programming the music, and maybe hosting was a bit second. So yeah.
Did you get a chance to go to the station itself?
Sometimes, yeah, but mostly I would do it home, from home.
Let's talk about the music business for women. I know music and radio and the club business should provide more opportunities for women, including all genders, for that matter, and rightfully so. But I am happy with the progress, is what I'm seeing over the years. So I don't like to complain. I see it's tough to talk about at times, but I like to focus on the positive steps that have been taken for women, and whether or not, I guess, what would be your opinion? What would be your opinion? Has it gotten better for women? Are women taking control? Are they, actually, going out and getting the work done?
Yeah, sure. Like when I started, I was almost always the only female or non-male DJ on the lineup. So that has changed massively over the last 3, 4, 5 maybe years. I think there has been a great progress. I think we're still not there. I think especially if you go out of like the big cities of Berlin or London or whatever, then there's still a lack of non-male DJs in the lineup. And I think it's also a matter of payment as well, like how is the money being distributed. And I think we're not there yet, but a beginning, or
the progress is going forward.
Yeah.
It's not going backwards, it's going forward.
And I think the next step would be to also not only look at lineups, but also behind the curtains, like who's doing the booking job, who's working behind, like who's working in club environment and in general, who's booking at booking agencies, for example. There's still a lot of men, and
What do you think about the progress of women in the industry? It's tough for all of us, for women, men. I don't care who you are. It's in this business. It's tough. But do you see some major or good progress and going in the correct direction?
Absolutely.
Same here.
Yes.
And how so? In what ways?
Well, just seeing someone like a someone like a J to G, who's out here in the world, playing all the big clubs, all the big festivals, playing alongside, stellar lineups. Then I want to mention Natasha Diggs.
K-Han was one.
And that's
DJ
what I'm trying to get to, is that, yes, we were one in a few, me even sooner than you, but just in Vienna there is Electric Indigo, who now is in Berlin. But
one of my
I
favorites.
ran into her on a plane, and I was like, that's a hero of mine.
She's a trooper. She's a real trooper. She's a real trooper.
K-Hand, obviously I wasn't aware of Detroit at the time, but also I was part of the Dub Club Vienna family, and one of the three members, one of the three founders is Sweet Susie, who was a big influence on me as well, and I could name a few more. There's DJ Minx in Detroit, who's been around for a long time, Teresa Hill, Tereza.
I think just the fact that whatever kind of music you're into, you will find like a role model, like a non-male role model you can look up to or check out or get inspiration from. I think that's already a really good sign for up-and-coming DJs.
That's important. I like that you said role model that looks like you. That's important for female, right?
I mean, I would have loved to have a role model back then, but in my area there weren't just no female DJs, at least that I knew of. So I would always look up to male DJs, which is not wrong per se, but yeah, I think it would have been cool to also have had female role models, and yeah.
Do you think they were just held back, or do you think that the women can be? I mean, women are tough as far as I'm concerned. My mom was my biggest hero, so as far as, and my daughter, and my, as far as I'm concerned, this is you have to put your boots on the ground and just get busy, and some way you'll find your way. But I really think it's very important that the experience you have, and with other women being on the stage, influence you to have the confidence to get up there and also join the crew. Yeah.
I think there's the saying, what you see is what you can be, or something like that. So I think if I have had like a female role model, like DJing as a career would have seemed a bit more tangible for me, and would be something I would have maybe worked towards a bit more straighter. I mean, I don't know, but I think now with having so many role models for whatever music tastes you have, it produces automatically more and more non-male DJs who will maybe follow the path and then create a new path for their own. So I think we are on a good way, and I think in 2, 3, 4, 5 years we won't talk about male and female differences anymore, and we will tackle other aspects of equality in club culture, I think.
But it's getting better. We can agree,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah, good. There's no fight. Yes. Well, you had an experience in Vienna with Giles Peterson. I love him. Can you tell me how him being a part of his radio, this Vienna crew, how inspirational is Giles Peterson for you?
Giles Peterson is the man. Right, he was my teacher on the radio long before I met him. I would religiously listen to the Worldwide Show on Sundays, and if I couldn't listen on Sundays because I was at work at the airport, I would record it Wednesday night because there was no news break. Anyways, I have cassettes still to this day. I'm not going to give them away. And I first met him in person at a G-Zone session. I think it was in December 2002, something like that. Obviously, I met a lot of international DJs, artists at those sessions, at those dub club nights as well. And Giles Peterson was and has been and still is one of my greatest inspirations in terms of music and broadcasting.
And you also have some experience at running a label, Mahogany Music, for Kenny Dixon Jr. How has that experience working for the label benefited you as a DJ? That experience, that whole experience. I mean, and how did you get that job? I mean, respect, and we're talking about experience, people. We're talking about you doing a good job. Someone sees you, you get a job, and these things just expand. You put your as far as I'm concerned, if you love something, each step you take towards that direction, you gain something somewhere, somehow. This opportunity for you was huge. Tell us about it.
Indeed, it was huge. It still is huge. And whenever I tell the story, I'm trying to make it short, yeah? Whenever I tell the story, my mind is blown how I ended up here. I don't know, but it just happened that I met Kenny Dixon on MySpace.com. Yes, social media 1.0. I had a T-shirt blog on MySpace, and basically one day I had a message from Moody Man, or was it a friend request? I don't know. And he said, "Nice pictures. How can I get you some T-shirts?" And you want to send me some T-shirts in the mail? Yes, and some records. I did not know who Moody Man was at the time. Just I have heard, obviously, I was listening to Jazz Peterson, and I'm sure I had heard Norma Jean Bell or Amp Fiddler. I loved Amp Fiddler at the time. I had already seen him in concert, but I was not aware of Moody Man, KDJ Records, any of that. And I just gave him my address. I was like, okay, if you want to send me some shirts, go ahead, you know. And I got those shirts in the mail, and they were huge, so I never really wore them. And I didn't really dig deeper of who this guy was. We didn't communicate after that until about 2 years later. A friend of mine booked him. It was actually a Red Bull Music Academy sponsored night. Felix from Red Bull and Wolfram. Some people here might know who Wolfram is. Wolfram Amadeus. Yep. They booked Kenny. That was his first gig in Vienna in 2009, and I saw the announcement on Facebook at the time. We're already talking Facebook now. I was like, all right, that's Moody Man. He's the guy with the T-shirts. Let me go and check it out. You know? And before that, I was digging at that point. I looked up his records. YouTube was already a thing. I was like, oh, okay, this is my. I can get down to this.
Tell it.
So a friend of mine was celebrating their birthday, and we went to the club. And my mom is a seamstress, so she would alter these shirts. She would take them in and make them a little more girly, like make a little tank top out of them. And out of one, and then the other I had two shirts. So I went to the club with my Moody Man tank top.
That was...
killing it. Yeah,
killing it. Yeah.
And I had a great time. And he was playing last night. A DJ saved my life, and then other stuff, Dilla, and he was getting the mic, and it's like, yeah, I can dig it. And obviously, not obviously, but I'm just gonna say I was the only sister in the club and the only person with a Moody Man T-shirt on. So eventually he spotted me. I was just standing on the side. I was standing on, there was like the stairs next to the DJ booth, and there's like a whole behind the booth area where people were standing. I knew pretty much all the DJs, and there were a lot of old school Vienna guys, that were Moody Man disciples, basically, or still are. And I was the one that didn't really know what's going on. Anyway, so I was standing there, and he went through his record bag and looked up at me straight in the face and said, I think his mind was blown at the point, because it was me. And he said, stay right there, I gotta take your picture. Put a record on, came back with the camera, and took a picture. And I had my first smartphone at the time, and we took what's now called selfie. I don't think it was called selfie at the time, but we took a picture together, and that was it. He kept playing, and I eventually left to some after party, which was not good, but
you worked your butt off with the label. I mean, what's your part? What's the lady's name that works in Detroit on the
Tracy.
Tracy. What exactly were you doing for the label? With the distribution? Not distribution, but booking the artist?
I do a lot of things. So first, there was a second show that Kenny did. I went again, and at that time, I gave him a card for the radio. My business card, and half a year later, I was invited to Detroit, and I went for Soulskate 2010, and he just put me right in the merch booth down at Hart Plaza and said, you just sit with the girls and sell some T-shirts. And I found myself at Movement Festival selling Moody Man shirts. And
can you tell them a brief description of what Soulskate is?
Soulskate is a biannual roller skate party that takes place in Detroit, and that's very dear to my heart.
Before we were
I represent Soulskate, even though I'm still, getting my skills Soulskate worthy. But it's at that time it was a one-night after party for Movement Festival, and it has since grown into a 4-day event with daytime events and a rink night 4 nights in a row, and international surprise artists, and a lot of international skaters and national skaters coming. I think it's one of the biggest and most successful roller skate jams.
How big was the opportunity to work for the label? I love Mahogany Music. How big was that for you?
It's huge. It's enormous. I feel very blessed and very fortunate to be in this position. So after I first went to Detroit, I was still working at the airport at the time. I used to be a passenger service agent for Austrian Airlines in all red, including red stockings.
Oh boy.
Imagine.
Okay, normal job.
Yeah, that was my day job, and but I was already doing part-time at the time, and I was doing the radio, and he loved the radio show and everything, and he said, well, you could come out to some of these gigs and sell my merchandise. So that's how I started actually working for the label, was traveling to these shows back then with standby tickets, staff tickets that were like 30 euros to go to Barcelona. And I went to Sonar, I went to all these festivals or club gigs as well with Kenny early on, and just sold his t-shirts. Sometimes I sold t-shirts, sometimes I was just sitting in the corner with the t-shirts and no one really paid attention. But for him, it's always about presentation. You know, Kenny Dixon was not someone who would put an ad in anywhere. He's not out front with his promotion. That has changed over the years, but at that point, and that's also why I got t-shirts, is because he liked people wearing his shirt and basically representing his brand and being a walking ad for the label.
Which year was it? When you're talking about?
When I first started working?
Yeah, like when you went to the shows for
2010, after Solskjaer in 2010. So that summer I started traveling too. I was in Ibiza, met Carl Craig and Theo Parrish. So, you know, that all went really, I was just introduced to a whole lot of people that that has been very influential. And eventually on New Year's Eve 2010, we were in Moxa Club in Mantova, Italy. And I brought Kenny a record from that label called Praterei from Austria, from Vienna, and I brought him a 12-inch. We would always give, you know, records to each other, and he said, "Why don't you put a record on?" Like, he was playing, and that was the first time he
opportunities,
asked me.
DJ experiences.
Yeah, that really. So that was like, just play just play. Let me play the one that I just gave you, and I think there's a video on YouTube. So that was the first time, and
Flo, you must have been shaking when he said, "Put this record on."
First of all, I was not prepared to do that. I was just really attending. He always likes to have someone around. I was literally doing security. I don't think I was even selling merchandise. I was just there to, you know, keep a lot of people at bay. Sometimes that's what I do. And sometimes now I'm a tour manager as well.
Security
so
guard, tour manager.
Sometimes
Okay,
I'm counting
so we
money,
get it.
you know, it depends on what's needed. But I put that record on, and that happened more and more, where he would say, like, you play 2 records, or you start, or you close, or you in between his set, whatever.
Building confidence and trust.
He absolutely
experience,
trusted
wow.
me to you know, be able to pull that off, and I did. And, you know, what was I gonna say? What was your question?
Well, basically, I'm still on the point, you guys. I'm not off subject. Your experiences and how DJing just went from
that's what I meant to say. So I was in Italy at the time. I have I think I have a great response from people in Italy. I love Italy, so I would be in all these venues in different places, and he would basically expose me to a crowd that would have never heard of me was I in Vienna doing my radio show, you know what I mean? So I was exposed to a lot of people, and with that came requests for myself. They would bring me back, or someone in the crowd is a promoter or knows someone that eventually booked me. So
Awesome.
I was getting booked based on that exposure that Kenny Dixon gave me.
That's what I was trying to get at. So yeah, I mean, I got this vision in my head about where you began way down here, and you work your way up step by step, and all this these things happening for you guys. And to me, this is a great thing for the culture, for you, you know, doing your thing and continuing on through the years. Again, I don't know if Chemnitz had a big scene when you were playing a lot in Chemnitz growing up at all. But what was your favorite club that you've ever played?
I think I'm too embarrassed to say that, because there was not really like a super underground scene. It was it was quite commercial in Chemnitz, and so that's how I started as well. Like as I said, played horrible big room clubs with horrible big room commercial music. That's how I started, and yeah, maybe in general, I'm not a big fan of because some people like to read other people's biographies and stuff to get some knowledge of what their path were, but I'm actually not a super big fan of that. I mean, I like sharing my experiences, but just as a tip for all you guys, I think the most important thing is to just trust your gut feeling and do what makes you happy, and most importantly, enjoy every step of the way, no matter where it's gonna lead you to, because you never know where it's gonna lead you to. And I think to read or to study other people's biographies is interesting to a certain point, but I think as far as like for me, now in retrospective, I can kind of connect the dots, but on my way to sitting here, I never knew what I was gonna like. I never knew what I do. Like it kind of grew naturally without me really knowing what I'm doing, if that makes sense. So I love hearing Flo's story, and I love to hear all her experiences. But then again, this is her path. This is her way. I think, yeah, everybody has to find their own ways and trust the gut feelings, and I think being authentic and being honest with all your flaws and all your strengths and weaknesses is the most important thing, and I think that makes you unique, because we don't need another Flo, we don't need another Kenny Dixon Jr., we don't need another Tereza, we don't need another Benny or another Manuel.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, so I think...
well said.
Yeah.
You are a mathematician, I heard. I'm going through your bio. And
that's true.
and I was... To me, it's amazing, and it's nice to hear that you have a mind, you have a brain, you're smart. And what is math but has to do with DJing? How did that connect? I mean, you went to school to become a mathematician,
yeah,
and then you end up being a DJ. Are you doing DJ? Are you a DJ full time?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm one of the lucky ones. Yes.
And your parents didn't like that at all, did they?
No, like I mean, my mother was like, you definitely have to finish your studies. Okay. Whatever you're gonna do afterwards, I don't care. So I finished my studies, and I think especially with COVID hitting 2 years ago, it was the best decision ever, because it gives you kind of a stability in a really unstable world, I would say.
Right.
But yeah, I had a question with mathematics and DJing. I mean, I think I found a new hobby 10 weeks ago. I started taking piano lessons. So I think that was the point when I really realized like how close math and music is. But I think while DJing, I didn't realize it that much. But with my new hobby, I realized more. Definitely, yeah.
I realized it later. That's why I was asking you about the math, because when you're learning music, we didn't get into the production part, but I wanted to talk about whether or not production and releasing records were important to you. And now you're talking about playing piano, and I wanted to know if you guys had studied any musical instruments, anything that. I only got a couple of more questions, then we're going to pass it over to you guys if you have any questions. But you're playing piano now?
Yes, like I tried to teach me when I was
train yourself.
When I was younger, but I mean I could only get to a certain point, and I never got proper piano lessons.
Your parents didn't influence anything about me at all, huh? Okay.
No.
Okay, you took it upon yourself.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You know.
Yeah, so maybe that's also motivating, because me not coming from any musical background, my parents not being not working in like creative jobs. Like I think I'm the first person in my family to be self-employed in general. I hope that can be a motivation for everyone, that that this is possible, and you don't have to be blessed with like musically educated.
Are they happy for you now, your parents?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
see?
Yeah.
That's right. That's all. I think that's probably all they want to see, right?
A happy,
Yeah. Whatever
happy
you do,
child,
is right. Yeah, as long as you do.
happy
whatever
child,
you,
happy life,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any instruments? You playing any instruments or singing or using your vocals in some way? It sounds like you have a talent there.
I think I have a hidden talent, but I have not started studying any musical instruments.
Okay.
I played the flute as a child, but not really seriously. I am planning to take up an instrument next year.
And your parents didn't influence any instruments at all, huh?
No, I was
Not
a
at all?
dancer as a child. That was what I
That
really
was our
wanted
thing.
to do. That was my creative outlet, was dance and ballet actually as a child.
Yeah.
But no, they didn't foster the musical career. And my father wasn't too happy about my career choice till recently. He realized, okay, she's doing some things here, you know.
Okay,
You've been booked to go to London and play. Oh.
I got one more list of questions, but these questions, I call them speed Q&A. So I'm going to hope that you two can answer with a short sentence, or one word would be absolutely perfect if you can do so. All right, let's go for it. 70s, 80s, or 90s?
70s.
80s.
Ooh, all right. Inspirational album.
Oh shit.
Yes.
Must be something by Erykah Badu. Maybe first one, Baduism.
Again? Bonolism?
Baduism.
Badoism.
I'm gonna go with a recent one. Could We Be More by Kokoroko.
Okay. Anyone knows these? Do you know these albums? Yeah. Okay. First club gig.
Chemnitz.
Charlie. No.
Brauclub, Chemnitz.
Maherei Wien.
Okay. You
Stone
said
Session.
that earlier. Yeah. Most inspirational DJ.
I'll pass on that.
Me too.
I'll give you
Des
a lot.
Andres.
I'm not gonna tell you the most or my favorite. That
It wasn't favored inspirational.
most inspirational
Or inspirational.
I can't. I'm not ranking people like that.
Okay.
I think it's
not a
different
rank thing.
people for different
Right.
aspects. Like
Yeah.
there are some I cherish for their technical abilities. There are
Right.
some that I cherish for their scratch abilities. There are some that I appreciate for their selection. So various.
My most inspirational DJ was in the beginning when I first started. Or I never would have touched a turntable, and it was DJ DST. He was scratching Rocket on That is my most inspirational DJ because he is the one that got me started. So it had nothing to do with what style he does or anything like that. Or he was just, if it wasn't for that moment, I would never have a chance to really understand how passionate I am about DJing. So that's kind of how I look at things. Just so you guys know, I'm very positive it's about the positive things that I'm looking for, not any judgment on any person or anything like this. Okay. Can I get this at least? Most influential musician?
Prince. Any day.
Got you.
All day.
Got you.
I pass on this one.
Yeah, okay. Favorite concert? Come on, DJs.
Maybe one of my not most favorite, but I went to see Kamal Williams in September, so
Oh,
that was amazing.
Kamal's dope, yeah. Uh-oh. Prince concert?
I saw Prince several times, and yeah, his birthday show in 2014 was the last time I saw him in Vienna. He was there on his birthday.
That sounds inspirational to me.
Yeah.
Favorite pop star?
Fine pop.
There's whatever is you define pop.
Probably Michael Jackson for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Erykah Badu.
Okay. Very simple. See, this is easy, guys. Come on. Longest DJ set. It must have been 12 hours.
No, maybe 8 hours.
Nice.
I couldn't tell you where, but probably 6-ish
6,
hours. Yeah.
To do
It's
what you
been a
do, you
while
need them
since
8 hours.
It's been a while since I played a really long set. I used to do a lot of bar gigs also. Would usually be like 4 hours.
If there's any tours, longest gig tour?
Longest?
Gig tour? You had any tours?
How many days?
Yeah.
It must be, I don't know, 3 or 4, I don't know, but not.
Traveling from place to place?
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
yeah. But that's not so often. Yeah.
It is what it is. Next, that's coming later.
I mean, I think it's a good thing because, like, I think DJing is different to playing shows. So when artists play shows, of course it's exhausting and stuff, but you also have like a fixed track list, which makes stuff sometimes easier. And I think for me, I don't prepare track by track playlists, so I always try to catch the vibe or the energy. And I sometimes think if I'm too tired and 3 and 4 shows in a row sound very tiring, then I'm not good anymore in catching the energy and finding the right song for the right moment. Yeah, so I don't, that's not a goal I have to play so many days in a row.
Festival or clubs?
Clubs.
500 or 3,000 party people?
250.
313. Small and intimate over huge and over no, yeah.
We heard some excellent output from Flo Real and Tereza about their DJ experiences. Now, Charlie Workshop students, it's your chance to, if you have any questions, please raise your hands and say your name. I'd appreciate it.
Okay, so first of all,
Tell them your name.
Aline. It's Aline. First of all, I really enjoyed your panel talk. It was really inspiring. I would like to know, how would you prepare your night today? In what way? How would you select your records, or what would you bring to your gig? Yeah.
I think with experience, when I compare one of my first gigs to to tonight, for example, at one of my first gigs, I would prepare track by track. I knew after how many minutes and seconds I would try to do the transition. I would plan everything so far ahead. And I think with experience, you can let a bit more loose and be in the moment more and try to find the right song for the right moment. So how I prepare is I have a rough idea of what I want to play. I put everything in one folder, and then I maybe have prepared the first 2 or 3 or 4 tracks to get me a bit stability maybe, or security. And then I just go with the flow, but I think that's not something you have to pressure yourself when you start out. It's something which automatically comes with experience, with having played in front of different crowds, also having shitty nights where you think you don't catch the vibe of the crowd. I think, that would be my answer.
So I'm similar. I used to program my sets and have a little booklet with the whole track list and the like how far do I pitch and like to the minute details. And that rarely worked for me, but I would also agree you shouldn't pressure yourself in being all freestyle while you're still learning. Nowadays, I usually don't know what I'm gonna play until I'm in the booth. I obviously also prepare mostly USBs at this point. I don't carry around a lot of vinyl anymore, but it's all happening in the moment. There could be a song or a record that I just found, could be old or new. If it's new to me, or I just was listening to it all week and I just can't wait to play it for you, then I know that's gonna happen sooner or later in the set, but it depends on also what's going on before me. I don't think you have to blend into the DJs, the person that plays before you. You don't have to blend into their set. You can also just start over, but it does, like, I would like to kind of continue on and carry on the vibe and the atmosphere of where I'm playing. But yeah, what do I bring? I meant to say that. I will always bring some Palo Santo. I will bring some incense to the club, and I will bring some little things that make me feel good. I'm not talking about drugs. That sounded weird. No, okay. So it could be a crystal or like things that have a little amethyst in my pocket or something. Yeah, my amulets. Like I believe in things that.
Earring,
it's about the little details. It could be what I'm wearing around my neck right now or under that you can actually see. So. Yeah, I ground myself in what's familiar and what makes me feel good. I need my rings. I feel naked without rings on my fingers. I don't know what it is. No.
It's funny how you looked at my fingers.
Yeah,
no rings.
I was just
Total opposite.
That's a personal thing for me.
That's cool.
I think it's also a huge difference if you have to do all night by yourself. Then you can plan a bit more ahead. But for me, I have 2 other DJs before me, so I kind of have to react how Flo said, what they gonna play, how they gonna set the vibe, in what kind of mood they do the changeover to me. So it's a bit more unpredictable, I would say. Yeah.
Any more questions? Please, your name, please.
Hi, I'm Hannah, and my question is, what would you say is the hardest part to be a DJ or to live the DJ life? Is it the experience for all the time or the years that you played, or is it the connection that you have to stay with the other people, or what would you say?
I think for me personally, it was it was always a hobby, and then it suddenly turned into kind of a job with like paperwork, with like traveling a lot. I think traveling is the most exhausting part of the job, and to keep this passion, the curiosity, and the love for the music, I think that's something very important. While doing it full time, I think, because there are so many other factors that don't have anything to do with actually playing music in front of people that come on top of like your love for music. And I think for me, just to find like a good work-life balance, as cheesy as it sounds, but it's hard to distinguish like work from private stuff, because many people in nightlife have become my friends, luckily, but that also means that you're pretty much surrounded all the time by work topics and stuff like that. So me starting piano lessons was actually a blessing, because I now found a new hobby which I'm also very passionate about. Like instead of looking at my phone in some free minutes I have, I would just go to the piano and learn like the last song I had in my course. So I think finding a right balance also between like I mean, some people can do it, but I couldn't like how your day and night rhythm switches, and also I'm talking a lot because it comes now to my mind, but also maintaining friendships, because mostly when they celebrate their birthdays or you are traveling to gigs and stuff. So I think there are many challenges that you face as a DJ, but at the same time I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world right now. I don't know how it's going to be in the future, but for now it's really fulfilling to me and means the world to me. Yeah,
I would say the hardest part, I would agree, keeping your circadian rhythm together. I am not a fan of late set times anymore. I enjoy my sleep. And I think traveling, not the traveling itself, I actually enjoy traveling, but the hours, just the late hours, the early flights, and the not having any time to rest. That's why I also agree with you. It's not a goal of mine to be going on marathon DJ tours. That's not the goal. I enjoy really being in the moment. And like you said, after 4 days or so of playing, I have no more energy to give, literally. I need a lot of quiet time as well. I'm not constantly, trying to be in a loud environment. I do want to make it more of a point to go out in nature. So basically staying grounded, I think, and healthy.
Focused.
Because, you can run yourself dry really quickly if you just...
Yeah, sometimes I'm also wondering how these huge Peggy Goose in the DJ circuit do it, because they are chatting from one gig to another, and sometimes what I think is maybe because me personally, I play in smaller venues and I really enjoy playing in smaller venues, but that also means being a bit more connected to the crowd, and what I said earlier, like trying to catch the energy of the people and trying to catch the vibe and play the right song in the right moment. And I think people, these superstar DJs, I think they don't need anymore to catch any vibe, so it's possible for them to just play like a 2-hour set of whatever they've prepared, sorry, and then go to another gig and play the same set, but I think that's a completely different game, and I even don't know if I aspire to become this kind of superstar DJ. I think it's not even possible for me, but I'm even not sure if I would love to become this huge superstar DJ. I'm actually really enjoying what I'm doing now, and the size of the clubs I'm playing now, because I appreciate the connection with people more than being seen by thousands of people. I would even appreciate everything a bit more if I would stand somewhere in the corner with my DJ booth and nobody would see me. It's not for me. It's not about being seen or the exposure. It's more about sharing the experience in the club, maybe.
That's also the beauty of being a DJ. There's different levels of any job. I don't care what job there's different levels, and there's different employees for different positions. And I know DJs that travel and play big gigs, and they don't play the same sets all the time, but they're a master at their craft, and they're best at what they do there. And I know, and I think that's what I really appreciate everything you both have said. If there's any more questions, please.
I just wanted to ask regarding the same topic, this superstar DJ is playing 25 gigs a month, but you say you're cool in little field for yourself. So what's some tools? Everyone for traveling has some tools that you really need to have with you. Maybe some sleeping mask or whatever, this kind of things. When you go, to another country, what's in your box that you really need for your...
Besides records and besides records and USB sticks.
I'm going first. Ginger shots, all my herbs. Yeah. I'm taking a lot of supplements. my incense. Like I said, little things that make me feel good, and that means herbs. Yeah, you know, my favorite nightwear. It could be just things that make me feel comfortable when I'm away from home, I would say.
I don't like. I think I
Tea.
have a good.
Tea. I always bring tea.
I think I have this wonderful skill to be able to sleep whenever and wherever I want.
I wish.
So I think I don't need anything else. I just sit in a train and fall asleep without 15 minutes or something. So I think that's a superpower I have.
Okay, there's no more questions. You have another? Please.
Any question, but I just want to thank you so much for this speak, because maybe now we are clapping, but I just want to say it was really inspiring and powerful, and really, really nice. Thank you.
Did you have a song?
Yeah, I have one last question. It's very
Yeah.
short.
Oh, yeah,
but,
please.
Claudia, what's your favorite hour to play, and why?
Sunset for me. Sunset.
Good question. Good one.
I think I don't have a favorite hour because some wise DJ said to me that there's for every hour there's the right tune. So I actually like whatever I'm given. So I love to play warm-up sets. I love to play primetime sets. I love to play after hours. I love to play outside when it's when there's still light. I love to play in like darkest rooms. I think I love music so much that I have a variety of music to play. So I think for every situation there are great tunes that I like to play. Yeah.
Okay, so with that said, I want to thank each and every one of you two of course, but every one of you for being here today, because for me it's a very special, I'm very honored to being asked to do the talks, because DJing is a very passionate thing for me since I was a little boy. So, and this is kind of something that I really love doing. Whether it's hard, whether it's late at night, whether it's cleaning records. I have thousands of records, and I will not get rid of them yet. But I also record records and put them on USB sticks and all this stuff. But I like everything about it. So, and with that said, also, I want to thank you two personally for doing such a great job. I was nervous in the beginning,
So was
and
I. Thank you.
going back to talking about reading bios. I was checking you guys out and just trying to find.
You did your homework.
Yeah, find how to get this done. But it's been a pleasure being here with you two, and please put your hands together for these two young ladies.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you also
Nice job.
to Benny and Manut for this opportunity.
Right.
Like I said, I find it great to share experiences, but more importantly, I wish you all of the like most fun continuing
Journey, yeah.
continuing this path, and just enjoy yourself, and everything will fall into place. So I think it's exciting to see you at this point, and I'm so curious what's gonna happen in 2 years when we maybe meet again, and to hear all the stories that you guys have experienced until then. Yeah.
As we part, I also hope that today's experience for you was a good one. And it doesn't end here. And I want to thank the team, this amazing team. Sianza, where's she at? She's waiting. The sleeping queen. Yeah, bravo. and Manuel Kim for doing such a great job. And Ben, and where's Jens and Dominique. If it wasn't for these guys, it wouldn't have been possible. They came up with this idea, I think it was like a year ago, and they made it possible. And I hope that it can continue through next year. I hope, yeah, congratulations, you guys. Good job. I hope that we shine some light on, on your quest. I hope it help you along your journey to becoming a good DJ. Clearly, for me, it takes love, passion, and it's a lot of work. What I was gonna say, it takes lots of practice, and what does practice mean in this case? Lots of work, right? And and I hope that the workshop today, you learned some fundamentals on the basic, the basic stuff to get, to express yourself as a DJ. So as we part, I want to thank you all for being such a good team, good workshop here, huh? Good, yeah. Good job.